flavor. I'll show you what we're working with here. Cooking them up real nice. Now, if you're wondering where you get something like this, it'll be coming to all retail stores around you soon. This is my own invention, patent pending, and you know, if you ever get stranded out in the wilderness with a diesel cart or a tractor or something with a smokestack, you'll never go hungry. You cook anything on this thing. You cook rabbit, quail, deer, antelope, elephant, whatever you want. Eggs, if you find a chicken, but keep your eye out for this thing. But the real reason I brought you here today is we got this diesel engine on this cart. And to be honest, it's kind of a turd. It takes forever to get going, and by the time it gets going, it's done. It's already hitting the rev limiter, and just a bit sluggish. But people have been telling me for years now that I need to change the springs on the torque converter. And to be honest, I've had those springs for years now. Just never put them on. So we're going to put those on today and see what kind of change it'll make. I think our anchor's done. Oh yeah. Nice and crispy. So like I said before, this engine's kind of sluggish, at least with the setup I have on it right now. It takes a good bit of throttle before the torque converter engages, and then once it engages, we don't have many RPMs after that before we hit the rev limiter. So this is what it performs like with the factory springs in the driver, and then we'll swap those out and we'll see if it actually makes a difference. So what we're doing is we're actually changing the springs and the driver here. And this is the driver. Of course, the pulley down here is the driven pulley. But let's get this thing off. All right, so if we take this cover off here, you see these are the springs we're going to replace. They sell multiple different options. You can get these springs at places like Go Power Sports, O&B Warehouse, BMI Carts, places like that. But of course, this is Comet brand. But you see, they have a whole list of different spring options they provide. We're using zinc weights, and I actually got some orange springs to try to get this thing to engage at about 1,500 RPMs. Most things I see say that the factory torque converters engage at about 2,200 or around 2,500 RPMs. So that's going to be a significant change, but we'll just see if it actually does anything. I may just have too aggressive of a gearing for this cart. But here are our orange springs. As you can see, they got a little bit of orange paint on them. Eventually that orange wears off, or that paint wears off. As you can see, I've got another set of springs. These are blue springs. And these here, I think, are just the factory replacements. But if your paint wears off, you can kind of tell. Just by looking at the spring which one is going to provide less resistance. As you can see, the wire they used for this one is super thin. This engages, of course, at low RPMs. The blue, you see, it's real stiff, real thick wire. That's going to engage at higher RPMs. It's going to take more force, more rotational force to flex the spring and push those weights out. Now, this is pretty easy once you get the spring off. Your weights are right here. We're just going to remove that so we don't lose it. But essentially, we just need to try to start rolling this old spring off. Just be careful. It is a spring, so it's going to have some tension on it, but we're just going to try to roll it over that weight. Once we get it started, as you can see, it just came right off. Now, I'm not going to take both of them off just so the weights don't separate. I'm going to go ahead and put one of our new springs on, and then we'll pull the weights off and put our bottom spring on. But we'll just take our orange spring, we'll just clip it together, and this thing just will roll right on. See how easy that was? Now, we'll pull our weights off if we can get them off. These have clearly been on here a while, so they may not slide very easily. See if we can pry it a little bit. There we go. And you see these weights, they just slide right off of that shaft. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we got our weights off. Now we'll get the bottom spring out of there. And you see, once you get it started, it just comes right off. Again, we'll clip our new springs, and we'll just get it started and roll it on. We'll just slide the weights right back on the shaft, just push it down, make sure it's seated all the way at the bottom. We will put our center sleeve back in, and as you can see, there's one flat side and there's a side with a raised portion. This raised portion goes on the outside. That raised portion is actually what locks in to your outer cover. You just line up the flat with the flat. And we'll get this back on, we'll see what it does. Now, I'm going to make sure that I prop this up against a tree before I crank it up. These diesels are kind of hard to get to idle because of the throttle mechanism. I get questions about it all the time on how to set up a working throttle and how to get it to idle. I do have a separate video on that, and it's a bit tricky, but you can get it done. But I don't know what this thing idles at, and I want to make sure it's not going to take off on me if it's idling higher than the spring engagement. Because if it starts going, it's not going to stop until it hits something. All right, so as you saw, those lighter springs got this thing going a whole lot quicker. It took a whole lot less throttle input to get it moving, but something I didn't think about, and it makes complete sense now that it happened, you know, we got moving faster, but it also reached its final gear ratio faster. And this thing just doesn't have enough power to get it up to speed in that final gear ratio. So I was stuck at maybe 5 to 8 miles per hour, and it wouldn't go any faster unless I was going downhill. And this thing is faster than that normally. But, you know, things don't always work out like they are supposed to on paper. That's why we test stuff. There are a lot of people that think things should work a certain way, or have all these theories or thoughts on how people should do things. And let this be a lesson that unless you're out here trying this stuff, you don't have any idea what's going to happen. Every single application is going to be a little different. Every single engine is going to be a little different. So let that be motivation to you to get out there and try things. Do some stuff that other people aren't trying, because there's no way to know unless you try. But I think I'm going to throw the springs I took off back on, because this thing's a whole lot more enjoyable that way. And, you know, maybe I can, a spring in between the 2200 and the 1500 might work out, might be the perfect blend between takeoff and top speed. But I think I'm gonna leave it there for right now. I'll see you next time.